Hey there, martial arts enthusiasts, jujitsu practitioners, and philosophical meatheads. Today I want to present to you a video essay on a topic which is at the heart of jujitsu for me, at least at my current stage of training, one I would describe as an acquired practice of suffering, or a praxis of suffering. I use the word praxis specifically here, borrowed from the revolutionaries, those romantic zealots out to change the world. But according to Cambridge, praxis is a theory or something that you have learned in a practical way. What I mean by using it is a voluntary entering of a space to engage with suffering in order to learn something theoretical from it. More specifically, I'm arguing you can learn ethics from it. Not some code or system of ethics, you can learn how to live and be equipped to live. And to develop upon that idea of how jiu-jitsu can be a practice which empowers and shapes your character. I'll start by giving a bit of my own background. I'm currently a blue belt in my second year, and I'm at a stage when most people quit. So common is quitting at the blue belt that even my coach has asked me and some of my peers for our thoughts on why people quit and why we stay. This has provoked me to more introspectively ask, why do I keep doing this, since as I framed this essay at the beginning, this is a praxis of suffering, and if that's the case, why would I routinely return to suffering? I can easily avoid it, and believe me, I try. I run a gauntlet of excuses every time I'm preparing my stuff and getting in the car to go. So bad is it sometimes that at least once a week I have to recite a mantra of just get to the car, then work from there. Then just put on the seatbelt and work from there. Then just start the car and work from there. So that I'm already wrestling before I'm on the mat. And that is honestly how I experience this martial art, but it's also why it transcends the gym. I was always already wrestling my whole life. I just didn't have a mat where I could observe it playing out, a space where I could slow down and repeat the same failures until I had no other choice but to submit that I was doing something wrong, then stand back, review my patterns, take counsel from others, and learn other options. I would argue this is a sacred space in the literal sense of the word. The Latin word sacrare is to be metaphysically set apart, something set apart from normal secular life that is the lower third of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. A place where you're not striving to eat, be sheltered, remind people of your status, wealth and sexual value. A place where social constructs are suspended so that something which is true, good and beautiful is allowed to reveal itself. That is how I see bowing on the mats. It's a purification ritual, a recognition of entering into a separated space. I do not think everyone thinks of it this way, and each person brings something to the art and finds something in it that keeps them there. Yet, for that reason too, it's sacred. It's a private place where personal battles are fought. For some, it's a love of sport and personal excellence. Others love competition, many for self-defense and confidence, while others just to fight and release aggression. Usually it's a mix of things, but I also think I'm not alone in what I experience when I describe it as a space where suffering is engaged with as a teacher of something true. In my case, I'm not very competitive. I have not won any tournaments. Young women are not sitting in the bleachers waiting for me when I finish. And I'm already fit, although BJJ is some of the best exercises I get. Still, I'm a veteran gym rat before coming into the art and could just as well keep lifting. The gym is also about $100 cheaper in my area, so it would make more sense to just remain there. I have also done martial arts most of my life and could very well be doing any number of styles. I have a master's in philosophy. I mention this because I do not see jiu-jitsu as a compartmentalized physical activity. Instead, what keeps me fascinated by it is how cerebral it is. The logical structure, the blind spots solved by a shift of attention or perspective. Certainly I see jiu-jitsu as a way to stay fit and defend myself, but it's so much more than that. One of the main appeals of martial arts, and one I had gravitated towards when I was a kid, was the mystical aura that surrounds them. One of my favorite early martial arts movies was this very cheesy B-movie called The Last Dragon, whose iconic scene happens when the protagonist catches a bullet in his teeth. I'm not sure how much I believed this was possible as a kid, but it opened up my imagination to what could be possible, and martial arts continued to blur that line between the impossible and reality for me. Watch any Jackie Chan movie and that blurred line is still present. Even after decades of CGI, wires and superhero movies, the things Jackie Chan does push one's imagination to ask first, did he do that for real? And with him most of it is? then to ask what can be real through enough training, skill and discipline. Parkour has taken that question and ran with it, and with no small contribution to Jackie's example. In short, he is an artist of creating inspiration for the viewer. This was the magic of martial arts that captivated me. The belief that such amazing feats were possible, but the movies added something a parkour video doesn't have. Beyond the physical feats, there was always a story which emphasized the power of the mind and ethical development as necessary to achieve this level of agency. That freedom was a holistic spiritual process with the body as a locus for its achievement. Watch Karate Kid for your textbook example of this motif. I intend to explore in this video essay how, to my surprise, Jiu-Jitsu has much of this marital arts mysticism, in that it is an art for the development of one's ethical character, where one becomes a better fighter through its infusion of ethical qualities and vice versa. Now, obviously, a bad person can be a good fighter, but a good person can grow as a good person through practicing to be a good fighter. In fact, a good person may be limited by not being a good fighter. The virtue of meekness comes to mind. But anyone who has ever loved something also knows how a fight is not far behind. And in the physical problems of life, control of one's body, emotions, thoughts and imagination are all themselves fun. There is also something of an art to all this. Fighting cultivates creative thinking, but also an appreciation for the beauty and elegance of movement, of intuitive reaction, of using what is given to you to generate rather than react. And one must develop something of a taste for all this, like whiskey or wine. To the uninitiated, it's brutes rolling around in sweat, trying to dominate each other, similar to the way whiskey tastes like battery acid with wood for anyone who hasn't cultivated a taste for it. Part 2. Virtue, Ethics. A proper ethical analysis could only start from the virtues of classical Greek ethics. So we shall give a brief look at major Greek thinkers with regards to our topic. Several ancient philosophers were known to have practiced wrestling. We shall focus on 3 of the most important philosophers of classic Greek to understand what role wrestling had in the development of Greek thought. Plato. He was not only a great thinker, but also an accomplished wrestler. His real name was Aristocles, but he was nicknamed Plato, which means broad in Greek, possibly referring to his broad shoulders or robust physique. Plato competed in the Isthmian Games, similar to the Olympic Games, which included wrestling as one of the events. Pythagoras. He is best known for his contributions to mathematics and philosophy. He was also an athlete. According to some accounts, he was a successful wrestler in his youth and even won prizes at the Olympic Games. This athletic background was common among Greek intellectuals, as physical fitness was highly valued in Greek society. Socrates. While Socrates is more famous for his philosophical teachings and method of inquiry, he was also known to be physically robust and engaged in various athletic activities, including wrestling. Socrates often used physical training and athletics analogies to explain his philosophical ideas, demonstrating the importance of physical fitness. These philosophers exemplify the ancient Greek ideal of a sound mind in a sound body, mens sana in corpore sano, illustrating the connection between physical and intellectual development. Their involvement in wrestling highlights how athletic pursuits were integrated into the lives of even the most intellectually rigorous individuals in ancient Greece. Plato and Socrates' perspectives can be found in various dialogues written by Plato, where Socrates is often the main character. Regarding wrestling and physical training, Plato emphasized the importance of a well-rounded education. He often linked physical fitness to moral and intellectual development. In the Republic, where the ideal state is developed, he includes a comprehensive education system. This system emphasizes the importance of physical education, including wrestling for the development of guardians, the ruling class, to give them physical and mental balance. Plato believed that physical fitness contributes to overall well-being and helps individuals perform their duties more effectively. Wrestling and physical training were seen as essential for instilling courage, discipline, and resilience, qualities necessary for the guardians who would protect and govern the state. In another work, The Laws, Plato again underscores the importance of physical training, including wrestling. Plato proposed that physical activities promote moral virtues and prepare individuals to face life's challenges with strength and integrity. Socrates, who was Plato's master but never wrote anything down, has his views on wrestling gleaned from Plato's writings. In the dialogue Charmides, Socrates discusses temperance and self-control. He uses wrestling as an analogy. Socrates compares the discipline required in wrestling to the self-discipline necessary for achieving temperance. Just as a wrestler must control his body, an individual must control his desires and impulses to live a virtuous life. In another writing, the Lysis, Socrates engages in a conversation about friendship. Discussing various aspects of relationships, he mentions wrestling. Socrates talks about how young men often form friendships through activities like wrestling, highlighting the social and communal aspects of physical training. Finally, in the dialogue Protagoras, Socrates addresses the balance between physical and intellectual pursuits. Socrates emphasizes that physical training, including wrestling, is important for maintaining the harmony between body and soul. This balance is essential for the overall development of an individual. These writings highlight many virtues, but most specifically fortitude and temperance, which they saw wrestling as capable of imparting. We shall then explore these two virtues as they relate to Jujitsu. Part 3, the praxis of suffering leading to ethical knowledge in Jujitsu. Fortitude will probably be the easiest to extrapolate upon, since Jujitsu is nothing but a crucible for fortitude for anyone who has tried it. With temperance and self-control as your only tactic when you are out-muscled, out-experienced and outclassed in skill by a superior opponent. Your only reprieve is constant attention to what you can control about yourself and your body, and to find a way to do something with an inch of space and agency. White belts are notoriously spazzy, meaning they're wildly erratic. They panic, rage respond, and are intense with their emotions having no direction. Temperance and humility are two of the first things a white belt will be gaining, as they find out spazzing out gets them nowhere. However, this comes with an ante-up of courage. You fight opponents of every size, age and skill in a normal practice session. Unlike boxing or wrestling, Jiu-Jitsu is unique in that there are no weight classes in training, and competitions have events open to all against all. So a 16-year-old 130 pounds teen may be fighting a 35-year-old 270 pounds bodybuilder, and either may have any rank. Or a 20-year-old blue belt can fight a 40-year-old black belt of comparable weight, where every advantage and disadvantage is left to played according to practitioners. Each may use the practice differently, meaning one may leverage their weight and experience to practice new techniques on inexperienced practitioners, or the more experienced may practice being put into bad positions and work from them to strengthen those weaknesses. The young may try to wear out the older with stamina, or may be more interested in testing their strength against stronger opponents. Regardless, slapping hands with someone who visibly outweighs you or is your superior in skill to you takes an overcoming of fear and pride. But that's just the beginning. Fortitude also subdivides into resilience and prudence regarding the avoidance of pain. Not all pain should be avoided. Some must be endured, but get cocky, or show how tough you are, and you might wake up to smelling salts. Surmounting a fight must then be followed through with a commitment to endure hardship while being honest with yourself about the choices you're making and what's governing them, especially when you feel too much exhaustion or when you're under duress. Are you looking for ways out? Are you still trying to win, or just lose with the face? Should you even be trying to win? Is it better to swallow your pride and let the opponent wear themselves out? And how do you move without being forced into movements? Is this move your choice or one you were coaxed into? While under duress, this is extremely difficult because your mind is flooded with a demand to end the hardship, and anything that offers that option is more attractive than what a calm mind might choose. An opponent offers a space that ends one hardship, but it very well may be, and often is, nothing more than a trick to a much worse position. Your whole agency may be reduced to one of being controlled by fleeing pain, till your entire nervous system from brain to finger is nothing but reactions, a blob of pure flesh responding to stimuli to escape pain. In that state, one is unable to see any strategy or collect themselves long enough to analyze the situation. But this is also the true moment to cultivate courage, the capacity to feel fear and pain, but still keep a sober mind and use your mind. Temperance controls the panic, and then you reason out your options and choose tactically, despite the clouding of the mind with impulses, anger, self-doubt, and increasing fatigue. As fatigue sets in, strength diminishes, confidence wavers, and the imagination creates new fears of humiliation. Vanity rages at the loss of one's pride in athletic ability, the crippling of your brute force and failure of agility. You were supposed to John Wick an Imanari role, but instead you are in bottom-side control being smashed. This, I think, is the first and most readily available lesson of Jiu-Jitsu from day one. The continuous engagement with this state of fatigue, failure, humiliation, and primordial energies trying to organize some relief from suffering, which one over time learns to become familiar with and slowly integrates as manageable, but it also works as a negative motivation for developing strategies. How do I keep getting there? How can I avoid that state? How can I escape those positions? Are there ways I can attack from that position? This is the organic pedagogy of Jiu-Jitsu. No one has to teach you a set of techniques or a system, but you will seek out instruction once put in that state enough times and see others effortlessly flow through them, but the suffering is the praxis. You will encounter these spots and seek out techniques and formulate your own arrangement of priorities, which will be tested, fixed, refined, tested again, until that spot is no longer creating that duress for you. An organic self-defense unfolds from the continual exposure to duress, combined with analysis, research, and reimagining, until solutions can be implemented in duress. This is also where the art begins. How you prioritize becomes both your own self-expression and style. Factors like your leg length and flexibility mix with dispositions like being sneaky or like being flashy or being punishing, and you will systematize your options according to your own particularities. When this is achieved, one is able to think under pain, fatigue, and duress, and exercise a level of agency which is rational and not that of an impulsive animal. And with that comes a certain delighting in one's own dignity, even in defeat. Every defeat is a lesson, a chance to improve. This humility makes you more open to learning and growing, both as a martial artist and as a person. In Jiu-Jitsu, you're going to lose a lot, and over time this is just another emotional callus. It's not losing that hurts, it's going home knowing you had more in you but tapped because you were exhausted. It's hearing your own excuses play over and over that you made for why you. Avoiding an effort that at the moment you knew you needed to take but didn't. It's confronting all the things which the pride of never trying was protecting you from, and seeing why pride was protecting you from trying hurts. This also fosters respect. Your opponent had pushed you beyond your own limit, and for longer periods than you would otherwise have allowed yourself to endure under most any other circumstances. Part 3, Chapter 2, Temperance. The case for temperance is perhaps best highlighted by an appeal to another great martial arts movie, Kill Bill. In it, the protagonist at one stage is buried alive after she collects herself, calms her mind, and gets control of her mental faculties once more after the terror of panicking in a claustrophobic box. She remembers the lesson of Bruce Lee's famous one-inch punch. All she has is an inch, but with it she finds the agency she possesses. Even in this most oppressive state, she can do the one-inch punch, she can control that, but no one else can. That inch is her inch, and control of that inch is more power than anything that has been taken from her. And so with a focus on what she can control, she repeatedly does the punch, and her control of that is enough to build further agency and freedom. Jiu-Jitsu is all about control of inches, a crossface, an underhook, blocking with your toes or protecting an inch of your neck. This is perhaps a strange use of the concept of temperance, since normally we think about not drinking or a good diet. But body control includes body awareness, coordination, knowing if I can't use my hand, I can still use my foot. I have control of my foot that is part of myself, and I can use that control of my body intelligently to get more inches. This, I think, is another hugely valuable lesson in Jiu-Jitsu, the constantly forced mindfulness of what you can control when in positions like Beatrix's coffin. Life often limits our freedom, closes walls in around us, oppresses us, and limits our resources. But the mindfulness of what is in our control and the coordination to use the parts we can control is a freedom no amount of resources, no political or economic system gives you. When you're on the mat, every movement requires focus and precision. Your opponent is there to oppress you in order to make you oppression-proof. You quickly learn that arrogance has no place on the mat. Respect for your opponents, your instructors, and yourself. The practice encourages mindfulness, helping you stay grounded and focused. It's not just about the physical and the mental, it's about finding an ability to coordinate your powers, your mind, emotions, will, imagination, and muscular nervous system. It teaches you to embrace discomfort and push your limits. This mental toughness transfers to everyday life, helping you tackle challenges head-on. The confidence comes not from being able to fight, but from having these faculties of body and mind working in coordination and knowing their limits. Jiu-Jitsu isn't just about physical dominance, it's about control, humility and responsibility. You're taught to defend, not to harm, and to always consider the well-being of others. So that Jiu-Jitsu can bring a balance where you can let down your guard with confidence that not everyone, your enemy and those that are merely exploiting things about you that you can fix if you want to. Can you defeat them? Maybe not, but you can be ready too, no matter what size, weight, or rank they have. This balance is crucial for a fulfilling life, on and off the mat. It's a journey that can deepen your character, making you a better, more well-rounded individual. So keep training and stay humble. Until next time.